Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Maen Hudson 38 Mark IV Jet Black Quartz. This watch is available from maenwatches.com on pre-order for €483 on the bracelet. If the bracelet isn't your personal taste, the watch is also available on a rubber tropic strap, alternatively a NATO strap at lower price points. But the price of this bracelet version you're looking at is €483. So firstly, let's look at the travel case that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the specifications of the piece. So Maen Watches are a micro brand based in Stockholm in Sweden. They manufacture their watches in Switzerland, and their movements are regulated in La Chaux-de-Fonds, and also the watches are quality control checked in La Chaux-de-Fonds. So this is the leather travel case, as you can see, Maen embossed. Flawless stitching around the perimeter. It's made from genuine leather. 2 stainless steel poppers securing the flap lid. And there are also 2 stainless steel poppers either side of the padded pillow cushion, which is fully upholstered with a contrasting grey velour fabric to a high standard. So good to get this travel case included, and Maen deserve full credit as a micro brand because they haven't just taken the default option of using a plastic or cardboard watch box as one would expect at this price point. It's nice to get a genuine leather travel case, which I think is more aesthetically pleasing. So as you can see, the poppers snap together on either side of the cushion, and then the flap is secured by the 2 stainless steel poppers. Now this is a review sample, so they didn't send the outer watch box and also the other accessories, which are the 2 plastic cards. But if you purchase the watch from maenwatches.com, it will come inside an outer watch box, and there are 2 plastic cards. One card which certifies that the watch is Swiss made, the movement is regulated in La Chaux-de-Fonds, and also the watch is quality controlled in La Chaux-de-Fonds. The other plastic card has a link where you can download the owner's instruction manual, and this watch, the Maen Hudson 38 Mark IV, is covered by their usual 2-year international guarantee, which is very reassuring. Usually at this price point one would expect a 12-month international guarantee, so to get 2 years of international guarantee is very good. So with regards to the specifications of the piece, this is the Maen Hudson 38 Mark IV Jet Black Quartz. We have a 38mm case diameter. We have a lug-to-lug measurement of 46.5mm, a thickness of 12.2mm, and a lug width of 20mm. The bracelet tapers from 20mm at the lugs down to 16mm at the 2-button push clasp, and as you can see, the clasp is signed to high standard with Maen engraved in Garamond font in capitals. The quality of the Garamond engraving is absolutely outstanding, nice crisp engraving, and it's high definition. Now usually in my reviews I'm often critical of watch brands only using 2 or 3 micro adjustment holes in 2-button push clasps. Maen deserve credit because they've made the correct decision by using 4 micro adjustment holes, and this means one can fine tune the length of the bracelet to get the perfect fit. Good foam resistance to the 2-button push triggers. The interior is solid milled 316L grade stainless steel, beautiful luster to the brush satin finishing, no sharp edges, no burrs, doesn't have sharp corners, and the hinge pins are a good tight fit, so good quality finishing to the interior of the solid mill clasp. Snap shut with a nice positive click. Nice attention to detail. My favourite aspect is the large mirror polished bevel around the edge of the clasp, as you can see. Nice heavy gauge to the 316L grade stainless steel, and this is a very high quality clasp. It's the kind of finishing and quality one would expect with a mid-tier piece costing €3,000. That is the level of finishing. Beautiful luster to the brush satin finishing to the body, and that complements the brush satin finishing to the flanks and the contrasting large mirror polished bevel. No sharp edges, no sharp corners, the finishing is perfection personified. With regards to the rest of the specification, we have a double dome sapphire crystal with clear AR coating on the underside, and the clear anti-reflective coating does an outstanding job of reducing the glare and the highly reflective nature of the silver mirror polished applied indices and the silver mirror polished handset. The handset is a unique design to Maen, and they deserve full credit because often micro brands take the default option of using a Mercedes handset or baton handset, but this handset, which is Art Deco styled, really is outstanding because it's an original design to Maen and it's a hallmark of their Hudson series. So the mirror polishing is done to perfection. The proportions of the hands are correct. You can see the second hand extends to the white minute ticks on the chapter ring. The minute hand is also correctly proportioned because it extends to the chapter ring, and the hour hand is also the right size because it extends to the applied indices. Nice minimalist style layout. It looks clean, it's not cluttered with unnecessary text or specification. We simply have Maen at 12 o'clock and Hudson. Now again, they've made the correct decision because this is a textured dial. It's sandblasted to a high finish. But usually with sandblasted dials, often brands make the mistake of trying to print the white paint onto the sandblasted textured dial, and of course the white paint doesn't apply very smoothly to textured dials. So what they've done is they've raised up a section underneath Maen and also a section underneath Hudson which are smooth, and then they print the white paint onto the smooth sections which are raised and embossed, and therefore that means that one gets a nice crisp high definition printing to the Garamond font in capitals, as you can see, and it really is very high quality. It's the kind of finishing and printing one would expect on a Tudor piece, for example, such as the Black Bay 58, which is a €3,000 price point piece. This is €483, so to get this level of dial finishing at this price point within the mid-tier is very impressive, and Maen deserve full credit for it. The quality of the mirror polishing on the applied indices is excellent, and also the mirror polishing to the handset is also excellent. Symmetry is good, legibility is good, and the textured finish of the sandblasted dial means it doesn't reflect as per glossy black enamel dial. So the clear AR coating working in conjunction with the matte finish to the sandblasted dial means one doesn't get so much reflection, and it refracts the light rather than reflecting it. The chaptering is well indexed with second ticks and also minute ticks, and we also have Arabic numerals at 15, 30 and 45, so the legibility of the chaptering is also excellent. So proportions of the handset, the dial and the indices are excellent, and I like the fact it's not over branded. With regards to the bezel, it's solid 316L grade stainless steel, gear tooth profile. Now, with this Mark IV version of the Hudson 38, Maen redesigned the case, so they've refined the case, and also the bezel has been refined on the Mark IV. So this Mark IV bezel really is finished to perfection. The gear tooth profile is absolutely gorgeous, and also no sharp points. Now this is often something that micro brands within the mid-tier get incorrect. When they use gear tooth bezels, they often have sharp teeth, but there are no sharp edges or sharp corners because there is a nice chamfer machine to the top edge of the teeth, so therefore it does feel grippy and tactile between one's index finger and thumb, but however it doesn't dig into the skin as per coin edge bezels and often gear tooth bezels. They often have sharp teeth, so the finishing level again is €3,000 price point level finishing, kind of finishing one would expect with a Black Bay 58, and it really is very unusual to get this level of finishing to a bezel at €483. Now the bezel insert does actually look aluminium because it has a matte finish, but it's actually made from ceramic. The benefit of using a ceramic bezel insert, of course, is it's harder and more scratch resistant than aluminium. And again, they deserve credit because usually with ceramic bezel inserts, they have a glossy finish. And of course, a glossy ceramic bezel insert doesn't match the textured matte finish of the sandblasted dial. But they've actually got the match very good because the matte finish of the ceramic bezel insert matches the matte finish of the dial, so the blacks match. And it does give the aesthetic of it being aluminium because it has matte rather than a glossy finish, although it is actually ceramic, so it is scratch resistant. The minute ticks are well indexed in white, as you can see, clearly legible, and we have a triangle at 12 o'clock, so the execution of the bezel is very good, high definition printing to the Arabic numerals and also the minute ticks. It's a very aesthetically pleasing bezel, and one detail I like is if you look inside the bezel, you can see there's a stainless steel portion which is mirror polished to a high standard, and that runs around the edge of the boxed top hat style double domed sapphire crystal. So it's nice the way that it catches the light, and it also reflects the light around the edge of the double domed sapphire crystal, the silver mirror polished stainless steel portion to the bezel inside the ceramic bezel insert. So nice attention to detail. With regards to finishing to the head of the piece, this is some of the best case finishing I have seen at this price point. Flawless brush satin finishing to the tops of the lugs, and that complements the flawless longitudinal brush satin finishing to the flanks. Beautiful luster to the flanks, as you can see, and also on the crown side we also have a beautiful luster. Now there's a large mirror polished bevel which marks the transition between the tops of the lugs and the flanks to the case, and that is mirror polished to perfection. Doesn't have any sharp tips to the points of the lugs, and the undercut to the flanks also doesn't have a sharp edge. It's been deburred very well. So this is outstanding case finishing. It's very close to Tudor Black Bay 58 level finishing, and bear in mind this isn't a €3,000 piece, this is €483. It's an absolute credit to Maen. With regards to the case back, it's solid 316L grade stainless steel, sterile centre section with longitudinal brush satin finishing, and that contrasts with the mirror polishing circumference. Coin edge finished, very similar to a Rolex or Tudor style case back, and the edge of the circumference also is brush satin finish with milled slots. Quality of the engraving is very sharp, very crisp, high definition with a specification and reference number. And it is a low profile case back. Rather than being a bubble back case back, the centre section is very flat, and therefore it fits very snugly against the wrist. Very smooth and comfortable to wear because there's no embossing and it's not engraved in the centre section. They've made the correct decision by longitudinal brush satin finishing it to give a nice smooth finish, because this enhances the comfort. Often it's the case with stainless steel case backs, they're embossed or engraved in the centre, and that could be irritating against the wrist because it feels rough against the wrist. But by having a sterile centre section, it's perfectly flat and smooth, and therefore it feels very smooth and comfortable to wear for long periods of time. The female pivoted end links are a good tight fit to the head of the piece, finished to a very high standard. Brush satin finish to the underside to the head of the piece, and as I've detailed, no sharp edges to the undercut of the flanks. So the finishing to this is outstanding. They've even chamfered the edges of the tips of the lugs, as you can see, and that therefore deletes any sharp edges or sharp points, which is often a problem with pieces that have a short lug to lug measurement. This is a 46.5 lug to lug, and it's good that they haven't got any sharp tips which could dig into the wrist. So let's test the bezel execution. 120 click unidirectional bezel, as one would expect. Nice loud audible clicks. Feels even all the way through the 360 degrees. It doesn't get tight and loose, which is often a problem with mid-tier pieces. Medium firm resistance. I would describe the resistance as lighter than a Steinhardt Ocean 139. Feels very similar in resistance to a Seiko 5KX, which you may be familiar with, alternatively a San Martin SN004G. That's the level of resistance. I like the medium resistance. No lateral side-to-side play, no back play whatsoever, so it is a tight bezel execution, although lighter in rotation than a Steinhardt Ocean 139, which I consider to be too firm. Very similar to a Seiko 5KX. I like the loud audible clicks. Let's just check the alignments. Perfect. The triangle on the ceramic bezel insert perfectly aligns with the double applied indices and the 60-minute Arabic numerals on the chapter ring. So 10 out of 10 bezel execution, and Maen deserve full credit for this. This is an example to other micro brands of how to get bezel correction correct. No lateral side-to-side play, no back play, perfect alignment. It is 10 out of 10. They've even got the balance of the resistance correct because it's even all the way through the 360 degrees. It doesn't feel too heavy, it doesn't feel too light. It's medium firm resistance, just the way a bezel should be. With regards to the crown, it's coin edge finish, solid 316L grade stainless steel, mirror polished domed cap. And we've also got the M for Maen, engraved to a high standard in Garamond fonts in capitals. So nicely proportioned crown. Let's test the screw down crown execution. Absolutely silky smooth. This is sublime screw down crown execution. The screw down crown provides an effective hermetic seal to 300 meters, which is strong specification, and that's something that Maen upgraded with the Mark IV. They increased the water resistance rating to 300. Usually at this price point one would expect 200 meters of water resistance, so to get 300 meters is very strong specification. Now this is quartz powered by the Ronda caliber 515 quartz. So in the first position, the first click, we have a date wheel which is present beneath the dial, so there is a phantom date setting position. Putting it out to the second click hacks the quartz, as you can see. The second hand now stops dead. So we're now in the time setting position. Very light resistance, and this is the benefit of a quartz. It feels silky smooth, both clockwise and anti-clockwise. It doesn't have the resistance of the friction of the gearing as per mechanical movement, such as a manual wind or an automatic. So silky smooth to set the time. No back play clockwise and anti-clockwise. There's an immediate response. When one rotates the crown clockwise and anti-clockwise, the minute hand immediately moves, and I like that there's no backplay. So the Ronda caliber 515 quartz is one of my personal favourites due to its reliability, and also it's an absolute pleasure to set the time. Pushing it back in restarts the quartz, as you can see, and the second hand begins to tick around the dial once again. So let's test screwing it back down. Immediate thread pickup. This is outstanding. This is one of the best executed screw down crowns I've experienced within the mid-tier, and it feels very similar in smoothness to a Tudor Black Bay 58. That is the level of smoothness. There's an immediate pickup, a perfect interface between the internal thread of the stainless steel crown and the external thread of the stainless steel crown tube. The two threads interface, they mesh and mate correctly. So absolute pleasure. 300 meters is excellent specification. I really like the action of the screw down crown. It is very silky smooth. So I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now it is a snug fit to get it across my hand, so I'm going to remove my glove. And as you can see, I haven't sized the bracelet. I've simply taken the watch out of the watch roll, and I'm pleased to report with all the links in the bracelet, it does indeed fit my 8-inch wrist, which is a pleasant surprise because often brands have bracelets which are too short. I can in fact slide an index finger underneath the clasp, so this will easily fit up to an 8-inch wrist. Now, a relatively short lug-to-lug measurement. As you'll know from my previous reviews, I consider 48mm to be the sweet spot. That is the perfect lug-to-lug measurement, regardless of whether you have a 6 to 7-inch wrist or a 7 to 8-inch wrist, respectively. At 46.5, it's 1.5mm below this sweet spot, but however, it does work very well with this compact case because it is a 38mm head of the piece, and therefore it is acceptable to reduce the lug-to-lug, because using a 48 lug-to-lug on a 38 head of the piece might look too long on collectors with a smaller wrist of 6 to 7 inches. So you will particularly enjoy the fit and the proportions of this piece if you have a smaller wrist of 6 to 7 inches, because it is compact in its proportions. Nice wrist presence at 38. It actually wears more like a 39. Visually it looks like a 39. They've made the correct decision with a 20 to 16 taper, which is the industry standard for 39 and 40mm head of the pieces. This is 38. 20 to 16 works very well. Nice gradual taper down to the 2-button push clasp. The 2-button push clasp curves around the wrist very well. It's low profile, beautiful luster to it. Now I really like the luster to the brush satin finishing to the 5-link bracelet, and that complements the contrasting mirror polish centre links. As you can see, quality of the mirror polishing to the links is outstanding, and the quality of the brush satin finishing is also outstanding. One detail I really like, and Maen deserve credit for making the correct decision here, they've used female pivoted end links rather than using male end links. Had they used male end links, it would have extended the effective lug-to-lug measurement to over 48. By using female pivoted end links, it pulls the end link in the bracelet snug to the wrist, so one doesn't get the abhorrent gap beneath the tips of the lugs and also the end link in the bracelet. The female pivoted end links allow the bracelet to articulate better than using male end links. So feel good factor is outstanding, comfort level is outstanding, feels very well balanced. 134 grams, and that's the benefit of this being a quartz powered piece rather than being an automatic. It is lighter than the automatic version of the Hudson 38 Mark IV. 134 really does feel weightless on wrist. Very well balanced, it doesn't feel top heavy. The 20 to 16 taper means the bracelet feels very well balanced with the 38mm head of the piece. I love the way the silver mirror polished stainless steel portion of the bezel running around the edge of the crystal catches the light. Clear AL coating works very well, and as I've detailed, it also benefits from using the textured sandblasted matte black dial rather than a glossy black dial, because it doesn't reflect the light as much. It refracts it, and therefore it's not as reflective. So as you can see, legibility is good, symmetry to the dial is good, so the functionality is there. So I really like the proportions. Now this is only 12.2mm, and that is one of the main positives of the watch. Anything under 13mm will easily slip underneath a shirt cuff if you wear business shirts. At 12.2, this is very low profile, and it will easily slip underneath a shirt cuff. So it's a low profile flat piece. The case back feels very comfortable against the wrist because it has that sterile centre section, which is brass satin finish. So proportions are good, but this clearly suits collectors with a 6 to 7 inch wrist better. 38 by 46.5 is a small case. If you have a larger 7 to 8 inch wrist, you may find that it looks slightly too small and you might prefer a 39 or a 40mm head of the piece. 38 does actually look more like a 39, and I really like the comfort level. 134 grams really does feel very good. It feels like a lightweight piece. So they deserve credit because the proportions are excellent for a 38mm head of the piece. I like it's 134 grams, and most of all I like that it's only 12.2. So for a 300 metre water resistant piece, 12.2 is very thin. Right, so let's do a Lume test and we'll see how the Lume performs when it's charged up to the absolute maximum. So this uses C1X1 superluminova. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see it has not disappointed. We're clearly looking at 5 to 6 layers of C1X1. So C1 is whiter lume than C3, and it gives the exciter a brighter tone than C3, which is a fuller green colour. And the X1 has a green tone to it which looks similar to C3, but it is brighter. So it's glowing very brightly and it will continue to glow for a good length of time, and this is the benefit of using 5 to 6 layers. I'm very pleased to see that Maen haven't used the cost-cutting measure of applying only 2 to 3 layers to the applied indices and the silver mirror polished hands. So as you can see, the hour and minute hand are very well proportioned. One can easily differentiate which is the hour hand, which is the minute hand. The minute hand is significantly longer. Lume pip on the second hand, which ticks around the dial, so the legibility is good, the symmetry of the dial is very good, and I like the double applied indices at 12 because it gives good orientation. Now, my only criticism is the triangle on the ceramic bezel insert isn't lumed. Now, I would like to see Maen upgrade the triangle and inlay it with C1X1 superluminova, or alternatively add a Lume pip, because that would improve the legibility of the ceramic bezel insert. It would be nice to have either a Lume's triangle or a Lume pip so that one could see the bezel position in the dark. By looking at the handset and also looking at the applied indices, you can see it's still continuing to glow very brightly, and it will continue to glow for a good length of time. So C1 has a brighter performance than C3, and the X1 also gives it longevity, so it glows for a longer length of time. C1 and X1 are top grade superluminovas. Personally, my two favourites are C3. I like the green tone and also like BGW9 in blue, but this green tone of Lume does give it a vintage aesthetic like tritium Lume, and I think it does fit using C1X1 on the Hudson 38 Mark IV. So 10 out of 10 performance, and I'm very pleased with it. Right, so let's discuss the movement use because it's one of my favourite aspects of the piece. So this is a quartz powered piece powered by the Ronda Calibre 515, which is a Swiss made quartz. It has one joule. The stated accuracy of the 515 is -10 to +20 seconds per month. I want you to consider that for a second. That's not -10 to +20 per day or per week, that is per month. Better than ±1 second per day accuracy. So the 515 is incredibly accurate. This one is running consistently to 0 seconds per day. So -10 to +20 per month is incredible accuracy. The stated battery life of the 515 Quartz is 45 months, which is nearly 4 years. In reality, it's nothing unusual for a 515's battery to last well in excess of 4 years, so potentially you could buy this piece, wear it daily for 4 years before needing to change the battery. One of my favourite aspects of the 515 is it has a power saving function. So if one unscrews the crown and pulls it out fully and hacks the quartz to the time setting position, this now activates the power saving function, and it reduces the power consumption of the movements by 70%. So effectively you could wear this watch in rotation, and when you're not wearing the watch you can unscrew the crown, pull it out fully, and this will save the battery life because it reduces the battery consumption by 70%. So this is ideal if you only wear a watch in rotation and you want to save the battery life, and it will extend it from 4 years to 5 years to 6 years, etc., because it reduces the battery consumption by 70%. And restarting movement, you simply push it back in, and of course it begins to tick again. So it's very good, and it's a unique feature of the Ronda Calibre 515 Quartz, the power saving function. So although they state the battery life as 45 months, which is nearly 4 years, in reality, if you use the power saving function when the watch isn't in use, you can quite easily get 5 to 6 years out of a battery from a 515. So it is an incredibly efficient movement. It's incredibly accurate. The thing I also like about it is it's very reliable. It's a very durable movement. It's regarded as a reliable, well-proven workhorse, Swiss Quartz. It's a very tough and robust movement. So if you're looking for reliability and you want to wear a watch in rotation and not have to keep setting the time as per an automatic or a manual wind movement piece, this is the practicality of Quartz. One can simply pick up the watch and put it on wrist. One doesn't have to keep setting the time, and it will run for 4 years minimum. So I really like that aspect of the 515, reliability, accuracy, and also power reserve with the power saving function as well. No negatives to it whatsoever. The build quality is good, the quality control is good, the materials are good, and it's a well-proven movement. So it's one of the best Ronda quartz calibers. And the other thing is Ronda have a very good reputation for quartz movements made in Switzerland. They are high quality. So correct choice for this movement, for this piece. I think that Maen deserve credit. And they could have used less expensive quartz movements such as a Miyota 2115, for example. But using a Ronda caliber 515, which is made in Switzerland, is higher quality. And I really like it. So lastly, I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. So on the bracelet, this is available on pre-order for €483. That's the price point. It's less expensive if you buy it on the Tropic rubber strap, or alternatively the NATO strap, but I'm going to evaluate it based upon the bracelet price that you're looking at, which is $483. Yes, it is unquestionably excellent quality, and yes, it is unquestionably excellent value at €483. The specification is strong because we have clear AR coating, C1X1 superluminova, 300 meters is also very good, one would expect 200 meters, 10 out of 10 bezel execution, 10 out of 10 screw down crown execution. It's silky smooth, so it's one of the best mid-tier crowns I've experienced. And the quality of the finishing to the bezel, head of the piece, case back, bracelet and clasp are all absolutely outstanding. The quality control of this piece is 10 out of 10. The brush satin finishing is excellent. Screw pins are good. They haven't used the cost-cutting measure of push pins. The thing I most like about it is the bracelet finishing. It articulates very smoothly, so none of the bracelet links kink. Doesn't feel too stiff. It doesn't rattle either, it doesn't have too much play in the screw pins, so it smoothly articulates without it being stiff and kinking. And also the finishing to the end links is outstanding. This is Tudor Black Bay 58 level female pivoted end link finishing. The articulation is very smooth. The end link can articulate underneath the tips of the lugs to get the perfect fit. And the profiling of these solid female pivoted end links is also very good. The profile of the end link perfectly matches the profile to the top of the lugs. And looking at the other side, you can see the profiling is also outstanding. So very smooth, very well made. The mirror polishing to the 5-link bracelet is very good. Beautiful luster to the brush satin finishing. So this bracelet finishing really is Tudor Black Bay 58 level, and that is a €3,000 price point piece. This is only $483, and it really is very unusual to get this quality of bracelet finishing and quality control at this price point. So Maen deserve full credit. So I'm going to declare it a champagne watch for lemonade money. I hope you've enjoyed my review of the Maen Hudson 38 Mark IV Jet Black Quartz. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.